NCTN TV, the platform where only the best is good enough. We're gonna be talking about complex numbers. Just like all calculations in mathematics, complex numbers are rules that we should also follow. In this one, join me. Note that in real number systems, the root of -1 is undefined. Now we want to introduce another system of numbers where we are able to solve the root of -1, and in this number system it is so much based on i's, where I is equals to the root of -1 and I squared is equals to -1. So here we are saying the complex number is the combination of a real number and an imaginary number. So the Cn is equals to the combination of the real number plus an imaginary number. Usually complex numbers are expressed in form of a plus bi, where a is a real number, then bi is an imaginary part. It's an imaginary part. We are calling it an imaginary part because it is formed up of b and I, which is imaginary unit. I is an imaginary unit, then b is a real number. So when we put these two together, we are getting an imaginary part. Then when we put an imaginary part and a real number, that's when we are having this form, which is a plus bi, which qualifies to be called a complex number. A complex number. Then from there we should know that in this complex number, a and b are real numbers. Dealing with the addition of complex numbers. So when adding complex numbers, we don't add real and imaginary parts. Why? Because they are non-like terms. So we need to recognize which one is the real part and which one is the imaginary part for us to add them. So let's put this into writing. Let's consider this example. We say we have 3 minus 2i minus 2 minus 6i. So this is a complex number and this is a complex number. They want us to subtract them. So what we can do is dealing with the brackets first. So we are going to have something like this, and here we are going to have a positive because this one and this one is going to give us a positive. We will also consider putting the right terms together because we cannot add this one and this one. So we will say 3 minus 2 minus 2i plus 6i. So if we say this, we are going to get a 1, then minus 2i plus 6i, we are going to get plus 4i. If we do this, then we have reached the correct answer. There we never said addition and subtraction, but what we should know is that the same applies in addition and subtraction. So the same method we have used can be used in subtraction. Let's talk about how to multiply the complex numbers. In multiplying complex numbers, there are three cases that we need to consider. Let's begin with this one. When multiplying an imaginary number times an imaginary number, we are going to get an imaginary number. Then the second one is that a real number times a real number is equals to a real number. Then the third one is that a real number times imaginary number is equals to imaginary number. Let's try this example. We say we have 2 open bracket 3 plus 2i. We are going to realize that 2 is a real number and 3 is a real number, and only this part is imaginary number. So in this case, it is not going to be the problem to scrutinize this solution. Let's consider this. We are just going to say 2 times 3 to give us a 6, and 2 times 2i, we are going to have 4i. That's the answer. Okay. Here is another example. Consider to pause the video, you try it so that you see how you're going to work on it and you compare. So this is how to do it. 6i plus this one is it's coming from this one when we multiply this one and this one and this one and this one. Then from here we are going to realize that this one squared, it is going to give us a -1, so we replace it by -1. Then from there we are going just to arrange this one in the form of a plus b I, so that it suits the form of complex numbers. This is the answer. Here we have another example. Try it. So here we are just going to FOIL the first one. In short, we are distributing the first bracket 3 and minus 2i, then this one gets into the second bracket. When we multiply the brackets, we are going to get 27 plus 12i minus 18i plus 8i squared. Then here we are going to realize that I squared is equals to -1, and we will replace it there. Then from there we are going to just go direct, but we are going to get the like terms, because this one and this one we are going to get a positive, and we get a positive 8, we put it here. 27 plus 8, we are going to get a 35. Then minus 6, I will just come down, and this one will save as the answer. Thank you so much. The next time we'll be talking about how to divide the complex numbers. Consider liking and subscribing.